right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You got your boy Xage here, of course, back with the video, back with the audio, joined by a lovely new guest as always. We have the visual artist, visual designer, Brittany Min joining us.
Hello, nice to be here.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much for saying. Brittany Min is an outgoing, positive, social creature. All right, guys, so we're going to show her love and respect. All right. Brittany Min came up to me at a music video shoot. We actually just had Justin on. Did you happen to see that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I just had Justin on like 2 episodes ago. So all the real fans will be familiar with the story of the video shoot. But just to recap for anybody who missed it, there was like a video shoot for this kid, Nick Viner. And I don't really know Ava. Do you know Ava? There's a girl directing. Her name's Ava.
Her.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
From Oros and stuff.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. And then my friend Sarah was like, hey, let's go. We go. Boom. We meet all these cool people. And Britt was just saying to me that it was really cool to be at that because I hadn't like met any new people in person in months leading up to that moment. So it was like such a blessing to be around other people that were just like trying to socialize again. Did you have fun at that shoot?
Yeah, it was also one of the craziest moments, I think, was because we were all COVID tested before, so we know we're fine. We all had to like take off our masks for a scene. So I think it was the first time in like 9 months where I just saw like at least like over 5 people where like I saw their full faces.
I didn't even think of that.
All together. And I was like, this is so weird. And that's so interesting that that's like a weird phenomenon to us now. Because we'd just be walking down the street a year ago and we'd see so many strangers' faces, and now that's not a thing anymore.
It's funny because I've been realizing how like, you know how like when things change over time, you don't really realize that it's happening as much as if you get like an abrupt change.
Yeah.
An abrupt change. I noticed like, so I've been doing this work with Kevin and we've been talking about the Warped Tour and touring so much. And I've been realizing like how separated I feel from this lifestyle of being on the road. Like what used to be so familiar to me, like being on the road, not showering, being a dirty hippie, like making side money by selling goods and services, like whatever.
Oh, you weren't touring?
I traveled with my father who owned a kitchen. So we worked the music festival selling food. I mean, we were definitely like as a part of the culture as everybody. And it was insane. And I loved it so much. I've just completely forgotten about it. Now I'm the squeaky clean, wash my hair every day. Like I don't act like that anymore.
Having your black tea in the morning.
Exactly.
Like, who are you?
It's a huge culture change. And I feel so separated from live entertainment and live music. How have you been feeling? Have you been itching to get back into society, or has everything been going okay so far?
I think for the most part, like I feel very grateful that during the pandemic, I've been able to learn about myself and about other people in a way that I don't think could have occurred. That doesn't mean that I wish that this would happen in any way, but it's definitely had, I guess, blessings even through all the hardships that have happened. I would say that in December, I think I had a moment where I don't know why I was watching like Coldplay videos, because not that I don't like Coldplay, but they're not like my band of choice. And I just started crying because I was like, oh, I miss concerts so much.
No, Britt, I totally relate. Like every time I've been seeing like live video, I'm just gonna let her in because she's gonna keep doing that. Every time I've been seeing live video.
No.
Big color.
Hi.
Yes, I was saying I also have been feeling, or no. Every time I watch these videos that I'm seeing people like, oh, remember this show? Oh, remember that? It actually makes me emotional, like brought to tears or like on the verge of tears, because I'm just like, one, I miss it so much. Like, I don't want to sound lame or silly, but like, because I know it's coming back, but it just feels weird to not have it right now. Shh.
Yeah, the UK announced that on May 17th, live shows will come back.
Who said that?
The UK. Like England, Wales.
I believe you. I wonder what that
very limited
will look
capacity,
like. Yeah.
But there's going to be something. They're going to try to open the theaters again. Like, think about all like the shows that haven't been going on, like besides live music.
Mm-hmm. Have you been watching a lot of streaming services right now?
I watched a couple. I'm not very good at like just sitting there in front of my screen for a crazy extended amount of time if I don't have to, like if it's not for work.
I was just gonna say that's funny for a
I know.
visual person to say.
Weird. I'm just because if it's my work, then I enjoy it and then I do it. But I'd rather like go out and like design in that way. Like if I went out and drew somewhere, like I think that's my more preferred form of like creating, or if I was making models or something where it's more hands-on, where I don't have to just be staring at a screen. So oddly, like I feel like everybody during the pandemic like has really gotten into TV shows, and they're like, oh, like this show's great, this show's great. I was like never on that, like, what was that show, like Tiger King?
Yeah.
I was never onto that.
I never watched it.
I never was a part of it, so I was like, But then when I sit down and try to watch it, I just get bored. So I can't do it.
I only asked because I was going to agree with exactly your sentiment. I feel like everyone has been way more consumed by screen time and more comfortable by it. Like everyone is more like just last year, if you sat inside on your screen for 14 hours, that would have been majorly frowned upon. But I now think that like if you sit inside on your screen for 14 hours,
it's a typical work.
It's every day. Yeah, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny. And I I agree with you about Tiger King. I know this is going to sound so cheesy, but I never watch anything mainstream.
Oh my God.
And that's obviously a lie because I do sometimes. But stuff like that where it gets like so hyped, especially if it's content that I would not subscribe to usually.
Yeah.
Like if that didn't get hyped, I still wouldn't go watch it.
It's like I don't like reality TV, so like why'd I have to watch this?
Precisely. Yeah, precisely. And I don't feel like I missed out on a societal moment in history by not watching it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It had its hype. It's interesting to think about like what was so popular at the beginning of quarantine versus now. Like remember when there was like no toilet paper?
Dude, everything has been so rapidly adjusting. I have a funny story about that. Many months later, I was going to like a Rite Aid or something, and I felt like such a sheeple. Have you ever heard of that term?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like such a sheeple because I was in Rite Aid, and everyone around me was like buying paper towels. And I was like, did I miss something? Like, what's happening? And like the guy in front of me got like 10 packs of paper towels.
Oh my gosh.
The guy after him got like 5. I was like, are we like, is something happening that I don't know?
The paper towels.
You know? So I got up to the counter and I was like, where are you guys like almost out of these? Like, what's going on? And she's like, no, we got some. And I turn around and they have a mountain of paper towels, like thousands of rolls of paper towels. And I was like, well, if they have them and everybody else is getting them, I'll just get them too. And I just got like 5 things.
Was there any reason for
There was no reason. I texted Wyatt. I got home and I was like, bro, like, is there something going on? Like, why is everybody getting paper towels? Are we about to run out, like the toilet paper? And he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
There was just a big sale.
Yeah, it wasn't even. It was just one person must have done it and then it just trickled down because I literally only got it because the people around me did.
It was probably like a big like sales scheme for, I don't even, like, what's the big paper towel brands? Like
Bounty.
Bounty, yeah.
I know everything is marketing and branding at this point.
You're a part of that.
I'm a sheeple.
You gave into it.
Caveman
into
mentality.
that capitalism.
Yeah, capitalist society, yeah.
But also, like, I feel like paper towels can easily be replaced, like, more than toilet paper. So I don't know why people would freak out about, like, getting paper towels, because you could just, like, use a rag.
That's true. I don't know. I thought about that too. I was like, maybe I don't need the paper towels. Like, we have other options, but no, like, I bought the paper towel.
You should give it as like a little souvenir, like after the podcast. Here's your sticker, and here's your here's your roll of paper towels.
In a gift bag.
Yeah.
Well, here I feel like we like jumped into like
iconic.
we jumped into like a storytelling thing, but I actually don't even know off the top of my head at least where you're from. Tell me where you're from. Tell me, do you have siblings? Tell me what brought you to LA. Give me like a quick little background on Brittany Min.
I am from San Diego, California. I was born and raised there, except I lived in Boston for a year. That was super random. But basically all my life I've lived in California. I have one older brother. He's 5 years older than me. He's actually getting married in 3 months.
Mazel tov.
Which is insane because there's COVID, but we'll see how that turns out.
A lot of people, well, I assume he put it off, right, for a while?
Yeah, he did. So,
you know, so I get it. A lot of people have been dealing with that.
Man. I came to USC 2016. Yeah, that was when I graduated high school. Cause I just like, I went to like pretty much one school my whole life in San Diego too, which was crazy. And then I was like, I want to go to USC and join the music industry program. But very oddly, I actually started as an engineering major because I didn't apply for the music industry program because I was scared. So I got in for engineering, and my brother's like, you can switch. You just have to like take some GEs and then apply. So I did. And then I ended up double majoring with cognitive science.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of crazy.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, which it kind of, it's not that I want to go into psychology, but it's definitely come in handy, especially for events like the 320 Festival, which was like revolving around mental health. Like, I feel like it's a very relevant issue and that'll carry forth like being a part of the music industry in whatever context. Like, I know like Gerard Way, who was like the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, like he's gonna be a part of some new online performance festival like regarding mental health. So
Really?
I think it's like more of a topic like artists, and especially now because the pandemic, that people are getting into.
100%. The only like piece of content I could relate to that is I know Kevin has always been about, he like is very aware of the fact that his main demo of Warped Tour was like young tween girls that had like mental health problems, and they were like expressing themselves through punk rock and stuff like that. Definitely, I think it's a super important subject, especially in the past year. I'm interested though, cognitive science. Is that like a skill that incorporates reading people, or is it more about like studying the brain?
I guess because it's basically a combination of multiple aspects. Like you can take linguistics, you can take psychology, of course, you can take philosophy, you can take computer science classes. I think it's basically like psychology in a sense, except it's more, I guess it's more regarding like how the brain works and cognition rather than just people's emotions. But I
Okay.
feel like I based it more around the psychology aspect because I thought that was useful. Like even working in like music industry and being part of businesses, like learning how to understand people better is like can only be beneficial. And I feel like even though like I don't want to be like a practicing therapist, like have my own place like that. I don't know, like you can, it's always good to like try to be available for people to like have a space for them, because I feel like the music industry is, because it's so fast paced and everybody's just trying to work to the top. Not that every industry is like that, but I feel like music industry is just really prevalent, like how warped it can get. So it's nice to like be able to be like more cognizant of things.
100%. I think like
Yeah.
one of the greatest skills in life is being able to like allow other people to be comfortable rather, or like
Yeah.
encourage like productivity, you know? I think humans are very like pack animals, you know, and we think we're very evolved, but I actually love the science of psychology. I also was actually gonna try and major in psychology before. Well, first I always wanted to do psychology, but I don't know if you can relate to this. When I was in high school, every teacher and adult was just like, be an engineer. Like, just be an
No, I
engineer.
can. That's why I started as
Yeah.
engineering.
Like, that was pumped down my throat. Like, as soon as I was old enough to think about having a job, like, to be an engineer. So,
Yeah.
so I would like trickle back and forth between psychology and engineering before eventually finding my happy place. But it's because I think the value of like just understanding people, and like we were talking about sheeple earlier, like humans act, this is actually something I've become a lot more cognizant of in the past like year or two. Humans act so differently when they're by themselves, when they're with people they love, when they're with strangers, when they're in a small group, when they're in a big group. Like the people around you play a big impact on your decision making in the moment. And that's why I was really intrigued by your cognitive science. It's
Yeah,
pretty
and
interesting.
like even with it going into like any like even concerts, because like live music and concerts is something that I love and like want to work for. Like just even being amidst of space where there's so many people, like you can just see like so many different like emotions and people and interactions,
You could
and
feel
just
them.
yeah, you can like feel it. And then I guess kind of learning different aspects of like developmental psychology or like abnormal psychology, like I can kind of grasp these people more and like understand why they want to be there.
It's brilliant, and also it gives you empathy because you become more like you realize more that everybody has like their own life and their own lives, and everybody has like trauma. Like I started to realize that like everybody has a piece of trauma, whether it be
Yeah.
small or large. Like it's just something that our brain does. Like it attaches to those kinds of quote unquote traumatic memories, you know,
Yeah.
and it impacts like your decision making moving forward. We've been talking about live music so much. Is there like a part of the live music world that you would love to be a part of soon, or just like in the future?
I guess in the future, like as a visual designer, I've done a lot of graphic design work, I guess, because I feel like that's the most easily accessible to people. Like, oh, I need this, like a graphic, then like I can produce that. But I think like ever since like my freshman year of college, I realized that I want to be able to do stage design for live music or like creative direction. So if somebody doesn't know what that is, I would explain that if you ever watch the Grammys or like any award show, like the set behind them, like whoever creates that, like I want to be able to do that for people. And I think oddly, like even studying psychology has helped me with my artwork because it's all about like understanding the artist and where they're coming from and then what they're trying to present to their audience and what emotional connection they want to like obtain, and then that can kind of be communicated through visuals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A point that I constantly bring up, and everybody will be aware, is that I always talk about the ability to control the emotions in a room by playing music. I always use this example of like, if you are a piano player, you can walk into a room with a piano and just play a chord and everyone will feel different in the room. I've never thought about how the visuals would impact that. That is brilliant. Tell me more.
No, that's interesting that you bring up with like the music too, which makes sense because like as soon as you walk into a coffee shop, like it's a different like vibe because they play too. Like slow music or chill music and you want to like sit there with your coffee and they want you to stay there. Well, not now because there's pandemic, but like maybe they're just blasting hard rock music now to get people out. But
that's what I was going to say it on the other side of that spectrum. When you go to like a busy restaurant like KBBQ, they play like EDM and K-pop.
Yeah, they play it really loud because they want you to like get out of there really fast. Or even like clothing stores, like each one of those, like they have, I don't know why this is what comes into my mind, but I had this DS game where you would like play with fashion and clothing stores and like you would have to choose what type of music you wanted to incorporate into your stores. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Wow.
Because like that fits with like the aesthetic of your clothes, like the presence of your store and like what makes people want to come and go.
It's like an audible cue to the visual experience.
Yes.
That's something I've also been thinking a lot about because of the podcast editing. And also someone sent me an article last year or a few months ago about how, oh God, we're about to go into it. So like, I have so much to say about this. UI, user interface, right? There's so much more to it than I had ever realized. There's like, you are constantly being cued without realizing it everywhere. Like anytime you're on a website or like looking at an advertisement, there's like cues in there that someone's job was to put in there to make you feel or act a certain way that you don't even realize, or to make you like just be able to use the application better and not even be able to realize it. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but like an example I can provide.
No, it's a very like prevalent job right now. Like UX, UI designers, like they make an insane amount of money because it matters so much, especially with our generation. We're on screen so much, like what will attract our eye.
Exactly. And we all have to like instinctually know how to use a website for the first time. You know what I mean? Like there's like standards and stuff like that I just have never even thought about. But Wyatt with his coding has been like teaching me a lot about, and he's been making a plugin. He didn't mention, because he's kind of shy about it sometimes, but he coded an entire plugin, and like first he animated how it was going to look, then he coded it, and then he went back and reanimated it because she scared me. She has an automatic food feeder. Yeah. We bougie.
That's so bougie.
And he was like, I have to go back and redesign it because it needs to be more user-friendly. Like people need to know how to use it right away. They need to like be cued when they're clicking on things so they know they clicked on things. But anyway, the only example I can provide is like I've been editing Kevin's podcast. It's audio and visual. And when I'm editing it, I'm primarily focusing on the visual because I'm looking at it while I'm editing it. And I like made the whole thing and I sent it to Vivian, my partner, and I was like, how does this look? And she was like, okay, I listened to it without watching it first. And she was like, when we include these cuts in there where like people are getting interviewed and we just like kind of splice it into the show. And she was like, when that happens, it's like very confusing because you have like no idea who's talking when, the cuts come in randomly. And all it required to make the show go from like, in my opinion, a 2 to at least like a 6. I just made like a whoosh sound effect in between the cuts because you need to have like an audible cue to match the visual cue. That was how I started this whole tangent. I've been paying more attention to that, and I think your experience with visuals probably relates to that. And I think the stage design is awesome. I think the most influential thing to me at a concert at this point is like the laser shows. Do you like laser shows?
Actually, like I've worked an EDM show. That was an insane experience. But I feel like that was like one of the only times I saw, or actually that's a lie. I saw, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting their name.
Oh, the band?
They're managed by Ausla.
You should just name one and we'll all just be like, oh yeah. Just like make it up.
I don't don't know why I
Oh,
can't think
the
of
cheese
EDM.
turners?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, yeah. So I saw them and then they used laser. Actually, they used drones. Like they had like
No
drones come
way.
down. I don't know why I forget. They're like an iconic band. I don't know why I can't remember their name, but they had like a drone show and all these people came on stage with drums and then there's lasers. So like that was crazy. But I think honestly, like shows that don't have, I don't know. It's like there's a line between like a lot of action visually and then like simplicity. So I find shows like I saw Maggie Rogers at the Greek Theater and then she just had like she was just on stage, like even her stage presence is amazing and then she had a lot of like flowy visuals and then curtains, which was so simple, but then it really went with like her album. I don't know if you know her album like Heard It in a Past Life.
No.
It's like a really good album, but
Okay.
I don't know, I think it just like went with the emotion that she felt behind her music and just how she wants to present herself in I don't know, like in a humble appearance where she's not trying to be some like insane like pop star, but then she wants to just like share her music and she does such a good job at it and like she has such a good fan base now. And I guess like leading back to like the visuals, the music and like psychology, it's kind of I want to kind of bring together like the triangle, kind of like the triangle of where I found myself at where I like psychology, I like music and I like art where I want to kind of put that into live shows where I can bring together that the music, the visuals, and then how that ultimately affects the mind.
This is a deadly trifecta. I think that is awesome. What's like, I know this is a tacky question, but what's like your grandeur end goal? Like if you could just snap your fingers and be at the place you want to be at, like what do you think that would look like?
I don't know because I guess like an amazing job would be if like the American Music Awards, like they were having a show and they wanted me to design all the stages for all the artists and be able to like chat with them and like understand where they're coming from and what they want to be presented as on stage. Like I think that would be amazing, but I guess I never saw or see life with an end goal because I think that's kind of the fun beauty of like that's the beauty of it that yes, I can still like continue to work at my art and like still talk to people and learn from other people and ultimately like always just understand people more. So even if I like got to that point where at age like 33 I was like designing stages for award shows, I wouldn't be like, oh, like this is the end. Like no, it's not the end because after that like I could want to just go paint pictures in like Paris for a year or like go travel and then put my art in a gallery or there's like really no limit to what I want to do. And I guess if one day I'm really sick of the entertainment industry, I could just like go live on a nice farm somewhere in the middle of like Colorado and grow my own tea. That would be really lovely. So that could be seen as an end goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, maybe I should have changed the way I phrased it, but you're absolutely right.
I understand what you're saying because everybody usually has like a goal in their mind they want to get to. Like I'm sure if you asked like Taylor Swift like 10 years ago, like, oh, what's your goal? She would have been like, oh, maybe like win a Grammy. And then she's like, she passed that within like a couple years. So
Absolutely. I think it's a curse to have that mentality, my mentality, because you're right. Like it leaves me always reaching for the next thing, you know, like I'm never fulfilling myself because I like set these goals. And then like if I get to them, I'm like, what next? The what next? That's like something I always fear. Yeah.
I think that's kind of it's normal and it's very much like the American mentality because we are such a culture of working so hard and getting to somewhere, which I think has obviously created like so many businesses and innovators that are able to do so much. But then I think we also forget like how to just enjoy things and be present in the moment.
100%. I feel like the amount of instant gratification I receive is so high right now that I'm always always thirsty for the next dopamine hit. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking of that when you're talking about the American way. Yeah, it's so crazy. On a different subject, though, tell me what brought you to LA? Was it the pursuit of academia or the pursuit of art or what? Because you were in San Diego, which I am familiar with. They got a nice bubble there. Like you could have gone to SDSU, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like Honestly, it's just because I knew that USC had a good music industry program, and just ever since I was like 12 or 13, I was like, oh, I'm gonna work for the music industry, and I didn't know what that meant. I was like, maybe I'll be a producer. I didn't even know what a producer was back then, so I just knew that USC had this good program, and like, not that I wanted to follow my brother's footsteps because he did go to USC and he did engineering.
Oh, okay.
But it just made me familiar with the school, and then because I found out they had such a good program, I was like, oh, like I'll go to LA and it's convenient. Like I think I would have been happy like going to the East Coast too, but because this school happened to be close to home and happened to have like what I wanted to study, then I was more than happy to come here. And since being here, like I do love LA, and I think it's really helped me grow as a person because even though it's, I guess, close to home, like it's such a different world up here.
Definitely. Has it been fulfilling being in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it's definitely, it has good weather. Like like last week when everything was snowed over, I was like, wow, it's like 70 degrees outside and I can like go walk around and like have a picnic. So that's a good aspect of it.
100%.
I'd say the only bad thing about LA is that like you have to drive everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a sad part.
How do you feel about the concept here of everybody leaving the city? Are you familiar with this concept?
Does everybody do that?
No, but in this particular moment, I was having this conversation with my very conservative uncle and aunt. They just moved to Florida a couple years ago for a few different reasons, family and whatever else, but as well as like good tax breaks. Like Florida and Texas have these like really good tax breaks, you know, and lots of space. Maybe Florida a little less than Texas, but Texas for sure. Everybody goes there to like 3 times their property size for like half the money, you know? And so what I think COVID has done, and what we're seeing in these like bluer, more liberal cities, for example, LA and New York, like the biggest cities, they kept everything closed down. So they were basically telling all these rich people, like, 1, we're keeping everything closed so you can't make money. And 2, we're going to up the taxes because the poor people aren't making money and we want to give them more money. And so the rich people were like, fuck you. And they just moved to Texas and Florida and North Carolina, like Asheville and stuff like that. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. Do you think that is your mentality with LA, I'm here to make my money and then move somewhere better? Or is your mentality like, I think I could raise my family here, blah, 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 you know?
I guess like, I know what you mean because I feel like there was some articles that came out about that where I forgot what the effect was called, but because like people are able to work remote, like they might as well just move to like Indiana and then have like a massive house that they don't have to pay that much for than like living in like a small apartment in a city. So I understand that. And there was also a weird effect that so many people were doing it, but then now they're regretting it because they're like, shoot, I kind of just like left a really great city and now I just live in the middle of nowhere in this big house.
That regret will definitely get higher as things open back up. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it'll probably just bounce back and forth. Maybe LA will just be like flooded one day.
Not that more people?
Yeah, more people, which would be insane. We would definitely need public transportation by that point.
Absolutely. And that's not to say that the cities are going down in population because, like, my friend Brendan, you know, like, random kids are still just showing up to LA and New York trying to make it, you know, like, that's never going to stop. But the rich people
just, like, I guess, because people see city as, like, opportunity, which seems like such an not obscure term, like, just such a vast term because it's like, oh, what does that mean? And it is because there's, like, there are just so many people here and there's so many events that will just inevitably occur and opportunities and different cultures that will come together, then like opportunity equals like experiences, and because there's such a mesh of differences that experiences do happen. So I think if I didn't come here for college, I would have never like even like be able to like have conversation like I can today, like be able to work with industry people because like I was so used to just like living in like the suburbs and just like seeing my friends and then like going home, and even though like I could socialize with them, like that's different from being able to like understand like other people, like other cultures, like other perspectives, like, and I think just being in a place that's such a mesh of things, you'll understand that given there will be a lot of discrepancies because of that, obviously like LA can be kind of crazy with just a fight probably breaks out on like every corner.
More people means more crazy people, you know? Yeah. That's just a fact.
Oh, but back to your question about like, I guess where I would settle one day. I think I always thought California because like my family and my friends are here and I just do want to be close to that when I'm older because like I love my family and I love my friends, but I would actually like love to like live in Europe or like the UK for a little and explore that area of life because like they have music industry over there too.
And it's like more profitable because there's less people. Did you know there's like a tenth of the people in England that there are in America?
I can believe that.
Isn't that unbelievable? Like I always kind of figured they were similar in size, but it's like quite literally a tenth of. I think we have like 300 plus million. They have like 30 plus.
Yeah, we do have we are a big country.
Huge, yeah.
But
huge.
A lot of people do come here. Like everybody's always talking about like, oh, like when I moved to America, like the American dream, like people from these third world countries. And when you get here, it's like people still kind of find something to complain about, I guess. But
true. Nobody's ever going to be like perfectly happy, but I totally relate to the UK lifestyle. I would love to get out there and spend like a year or two. I've always said I want to find my wife in the UK. That British accent.
No, I want to find my husband. We could just go there and like match each other up.
Oh, we man you wingman
oh my gosh,
me?
yeah.
I would be down. Dude, I desperately want to go. I've been saying as soon as they let me fly there, I'm going to just go. Like, I haven't been. Well, do you travel a lot?
I do. Even before like I went abroad, because I went abroad like my junior year, like I was blessed to be able to travel a lot during my childhood, but definitely going abroad, like I was in the UK, I was in Brighton, which is right outside of London, and I was like traveling every weekend, like it was insane.
I'm jealous as fuck. Yeah, we did a lot of traveling, same thing when I was young. Like traveling has been bestowed on me. I'm very gracious for that. Like ever since I was a baby, we went to we did this huge European trip, like Rome, Greece, Italy, France, like the whole thing. But I was like 4 or 5. Like I don't remember any of it.
Young.
Yeah, I was like, this was such a waste. Why'd you even buy my ticket? So I've been itching to go back. I have been on a couple, very few international trips since, but I've been very lucky to like travel all of the places in our country. Like the United States, I've been just about everywhere. But that's why I'm itching to leave. There's like that culture shock, baby. I am desperately searching for culture shock and ego death. Like I just want to be like completely thrown out of my world, you know?
You want to reach an ego death?
Yes. Oh, that's a separate note from my traveling.
The culture shock.
Yeah, from the culture shock.
Yeah.
But just to say, like, I'm constantly searching to like push my boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to go to Japan. That to me seems like the biggest culture shock like that I could possibly achieve.
Yeah, I think just because like you're so loud and fun, like that's just not, because I've been to Japan before and like just other Asian countries, and it's just everybody's so tame, and like you just have to be so like quiet and polite. And
okay, so I'll try and bring my energy down.
Like obviously they know that you're a foreigner, just
right,
because your hair is blonde. Yeah, that too. But just even like the mannerisms, it would be so interesting, like witnessing you like buying like a metro ticket and like going on the...
I talk a lot with my hands. It would be very excited. That's hilarious. And that's what I'm looking for. Like I want people to look at me funny, and I want to be like put in my place and just like see. They never accurately show you what's going on in other countries on TV, you know? And I feel like they tell you that they do. Like when you see like, and that's not to say that it's like a lie. That's not to say like when you see an act of war or like an explosion on TV that it's like a lie. It's just to say that like you don't really ever know what's going on in another country unless you're there, you know?
Because you just like seeing it on like social media, and I feel like social media just makes other countries look like incredible. Not to say that they're not, but just even being there and walking around, like it'll still feel like your legs will still get tired after a while. Like you will still like want to go to sleep at night. You'll still get hungry. Like all those things like still happen like when you're traveling. So I feel like people just really like glorify some sort of lifestyle because they're like discontent right now, which is like shouldn't deter anybody from like going to travel or anything. Because of course, if you have that desire, you should go for it. But it's still important to like, I guess, appreciate what's here and what's now too.
That's true. I definitely wasn't being trying to rag on you.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right. I hadn't even thought of that. And I definitely do glorify travel. But it's like my favorite thing. Like I can't sit still. I mean, you can obviously tell. But like I constantly need to be moving. Like I've after like X amount of days of sitting here, I usually just like jump in my car and go camping, like by myself sometimes.
That's so fun.
I just cannot sit still. And that's not to say that I'm not grateful. What's your most beautiful thing in the United States you've ever seen? I'm curious. I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours.
Like nature-wise or just anything?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I feel like...
I have 2.
Joshua Tree was really beautiful if I'm talking nature, because just like the look of the desert landscape with like the sunset, I was like, this is amazing. But I'm like, I don't know why, I'm like a sucker for like really like city landscapes. So I think even just like going to like New York or even like at like some high points in LA, just like looking over the city, I think like those are some of like the nicest moments you can have.
Sure. I love comparing city skylines. I've never thought to myself that I value city skylines over like the nature. To me, trees, man, that's my
Oh yeah,
trees.
no, I like trees
I
too.
love trees. I think my well, first I'll touch on the skyline thing. My favorite skyline is LA, and I don't know if that's because I've spent like 20 years outside of LA and then showed up and I was like, all my dreams are coming true, you know? So I maybe like an emotional attachment to it. But what is yours? You mentioned New York, you think?
Um, Honestly, probably LA too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like I like New York, like that's an iconic skyline. Like coming to LA and just I would remember just like walking on campus at night as like a freshman. I'm like a lonely little freshman. I'm like I don't know anybody, and then I like can just being within USC, you feel so trapped. But then I would look up and I would see like LA Live or like just some of the skyline of downtown, and I don't know, I'd feel so like at peace about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that was just always like a memory that I hold on to. So like I'll always love the LA skyline because of that.
Me too. I think the same experience. From my window in my room, you can see like half inch of like the top of the tallest building, and that's
Yeah,
all you can
yeah.
see. But I'll still just sometimes catch it and just be like, we out here, you know? Like it just feels
No, it's
good.
nice.
You know,
Yeah,
it feels
it's
really good. And I think the thing that strikes me about the LA skyline is it's very like modern. Like they have like the rounded buildings and the lights and shit like that. It definitely doesn't feel like New York at all. Like, I'm an East Coast kid, and so like I'm used to Philly and New York. And it's cool, it's historical, it's whatever, but it's old. I want that fresh, I want that new. And so I've always like really like the LA skyline. In addition, I think so. I asked you your favorite places in the United States. I have two, and I drew this conclusion through our past 5 minutes of thinking about it that I think that
that's a good amount of time, man.
to come up with an idea. And like to me, the most beautiful sites are places where I've like established strong emotional connections. I think that for me, I literally have the two most beautiful places that I was going to name to you tattooed on my body. One is this mailbox in North Carolina. It is so simple. It is just a mailbox in the sand on the beach, but it's just like so beautiful. Like the way that
I've heard North Carolina is so nice.
oh my God, it is so nice. This mailbox is actually in South Carolina. I misspoke. I shouldn't lie. But we stay in North Carolina, and then we just walk across the border right on the beach. Like it's like literally like right in
Is
the
that
corner.
like a famous mailbox, or did you just?
It's like famous. It's called the Kindred Spirit Mailbox, and it's really cool because there's notebooks in it. And so we stay on this island called Sunset Beach, shout out. And people stay in other areas around it, but they come to this beach and they walk. You have to walk there. There's no like roads or anything. And you can come from South Carolina or North Carolina, and it's like right at the conversion point. And they just write stuff in the journals. There's like an unspoken rule that if like someone is at the mailbox, you just wait. You just like wait at the water. You give them their time at the mailbox, and then when they're done, you go up and take your turn. But it's because people are writing like the most emotional things. Like they're basically taking journal entries from their own life and putting them in a public document, like anonymously.
Oh, you put it in the mailbox?
You put it back in the mailbox.
Oh.
So it's really, really intense. Like you walk up and you'll be like turning these pages, and the first page will be like, this was the best year of my life. I've been coming to this mailbox for the past 20 years, and I've been waiting to have a moment like this. Like I got married this year. I had my first baby, whatever. And then you like flip one page over, and it's like, my dad died this year from cancer. My mom is in the hospital. Like it's just people's most intense emotional moments. So to me, it's just like, you can feel that energy when you're there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so like I have a huge emotional attachment to that place, and it's like one of the most beautiful places. And then on the other hand, in California, I mentioned to you that I go camping by myself. One of my first like camping adventures by myself out here was I drove from here to Washington. Yeah, and
Wow.
I had my uncle with me on the way up, but then I drove back down by myself. And on the way down by myself, I stopped in it's called like Jedediah Smith National Park or something like that, and it's just sequoias. And I just went hiking. I actually I did LSD, and I just went hiking all
Nice.
day in the sequoias. And I just was like, these trees are fucking awesome. They're like 1,000 years old, 2,000 years old, some of them. They have seen everything in the whole world. They have like collected all of this energy from just existing here, you know? So sequoia trees are the most beautiful thing I've seen in this world, in our country. I love them to death. Do you ever go camping?
I do. I wish I went more, but I'm always like I would just love to like go out into wilderness and backpack, but I feel like if I actually did do that, I wouldn't know what I'm doing, and I would just like die and get eaten by a bear. I know, but I'm like worried. So like I'm like trying to like prompt my friends who have gone camping or backpacking and be like, oh, take me. But also I get really cold easily, so I need to like like very much prepare. I know.
Bring a jacket.
I'm such a wimp, I know.
No, I'm kind of with you. I have never done
nature,
a backpacking trip. I've never done it. I know it's like it would be really on brand for me, but I go for car camping. I'm spoiled too. Like I'll take my car. I never like camp in a tent. I sleep in my car, turn the heat on if I need it. Like it's glorious. And
I should do that more.
And then you have all your stuff in your car. So if you ever need anything.
I guess I like to go on like little day things. So I guess it's not that far to just like the nature, but I like love like the wilderness and nature. And I feel like, especially COVID, like people probably do enjoy nature more, like getting out there, because it's like where you can't travel anywhere. So like might as well go road tripping. So like.
Kevin's been doing that. He has like his RV camper thing. He just like jumps in it. He and Fran, they just like drive like anywhere, and they just like stay in the RV, and then they come back. They're going to Paul Tillet's house this week. I'm air out his business. Kevin was like, I'm getting sued again. I was like, what? Dude, he gets sued like multiple times a year. And I was asking him, I was like, how? Like for
just
what?
Just because a crazy thing that's happened at Warped Tour?
The Warped Tour, right? And I was like, how can they sue you? And he was like, in some states, you can sue someone 5 to 7 years after the incident. And he's like, usually they'll wait until like that 5 years, and then they'll do it, because then like they could just make something up.
Like, oh, I broke my arm.
Exactly. Like they could kind of like extenuate the truth. Isn't that fucked up?
That's awful. That's such a Kevin thing. That like, oh, I'm getting sued again.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting sued. I have to go out to the desert. We're also going to stay at Paul Tillet's house. I was like, cool. Tell him I said hi. That's what I said.
He's such an interesting man. He's actually like when because I've been to his house once before, and I was expecting like, because he's like the producer of Warped Tour. Like you would think of like this super punk rock guy with tons of tattoos, like all these piercings, and he's actually like super hippie, like just wears no shoes, like has all these plants. Yeah.
Yes, I had such a similar thought process as well. I will say that I'm jealous of you getting to go to Kevin's house before me. I was so itching to get to Kevin's house until I finally got to go. Like I was like, the promised land, you know?
Yeah.
but I went and worked an event with him. And usually when he works events, he hires like people that have known him for decades. He hires like his OGs. And my thought process was similar to yours. Kevin Lyman, the Warped Tour guy, like he must be so punk. But the people he works with are actually punk, like covered in tattoos. They smoke cigarettes. Like they keep it very 100. They're not Professor Lyman, you know, like he has to play that role sometimes. And they were roasting him. They were like, do you see any tattoos on Kevin? And I was like, no, actually, I never thought of that.
Why didn't not that you have to get tattoos, but just I feel like 80% of people, like they'll just have one random tattoo, and like maybe he has one, but I feel like
he does not.
He doesn't have any?
No tattoos.
Is that to just like be that guy who like told all these people and just didn't get a tattoo?
I don't know if I've never asked him what his reasoning is, but their reasoning that they made up for him was like, this guy's a hippie. He's not a punk rocker. He doesn't get tattoos. He doesn't ride motorcycles.
Body purity,
yeah. Exactly. Earth purity, body purity. Like that's Kevin's shit. And I never thought of it, but you're right. His house is amazing. That lawn, he keeps it very green. I hope to have a lawn in LA one day.
I feel like you'll just like be a Kevin Lyman one day.
I hope. That is a really high praise.
I feel like that is your end goal. Like I want to be Kevin Lyman.
I actually said that to one of my friends like a long time ago, and they were like, LOL. You know, they were like, you want to be the next Kevin Lyman? I was like, I'm not really joking. I actually really think that's a really good goal for me to have, because it's really high, you know, and I set really high goals for myself always. But I really appreciate you saying that. I think that would be dope.
I feel like you should have him like officiate your wedding or something. Like I feel like that would just be extremely appropriate.
My whole family is coming out for my virtual graduation as a complete surprise to me. My mom, I was at work and I got like 30 text messages from every person in my immediate family, screenshots of their flight info that they were all coming out. I was like, oh, what the fuck? This is so nice. And I'm going to try my very hardest to get Kevin to come see everybody, because I think that it would be cute as fuck.
He'll be a part of the family.
And he likes to drink beer. My family likes to drink. So it'll be cute.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I'm going to definitely try and set it up. I appreciate you saying that. You should get him to officiate. He should officiate all of our weddings. I think Kevin loves the USC people, man. He keeps referring to his podcast as the USC halfway house, because he's like, we're just hiring USC students in between them getting real jobs and graduating. I was cracking up. But that's what he's really about that, man. Giving back.
I know.
And never saying you're welcome. Sorry for talking about Kevin so much.
No, we love Kevin. We stand
we love
Kevin.
Kevin. I'm obsessed.
This podcast will just be titled like Kevin's Hype Up. Kevin, if you're ever sad or depressed, just listen to this.
Yeah, we will boost you.
Yeah, we will make you feel so great about yourself.
You said you're close with your parents and your brother. How has everybody felt about your experience in LA? Are they proud? Are they worried? Are you close with them still? Do you go home often? Tell me about your at-home life.
I would say like I'm closest with my brother. So he actually lived in Texas. That's funny. He moved from Texas recently, like during the pandemic. But he's like 5 years older than me, and I've been like super close with him. He's always been very supportive. I don't think that I think they're like coming to understand what I want to do, but for a while, like they didn't understand. So he was always the one like, oh yeah, that's great. Like you should do that. And I was like, thank you. Like he just knew I was so stubborn and like going into entertainment and things like that. My parents, on the other hand, were pretty skeptical. I guess like a lot of parents would be, where I want to like work for music industry, and they're like, what does that entail? Like, what is that like? And then like all they can think about is like, I guess like the 70s of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So like I don't think they want their little daughter like being a part of that. So it took them some like convincing, but because like they only live 2 hours away, like I do try to go home and see them, see my dog, and like
Yeah, I get that.
because that's important. And like be like, say like I do travel one day, like go live in the UK, like I want to be able to give to my family now, like if I can't like be so close to them later on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I similar experience. My family's like tight back home. I have a sister who's 5 years younger than me, so I relate to that as well. My family has always been like overly supportive of every decision I've ever made, you know, like
That's good.
Yeah, I appreciate that more than they realize. And it was just something that I never experienced when I was like, I'm gonna go do music. Nobody was ever like, why, or what does that mean? But they didn't know, you know, like they just were like, they'll figure it out, which I'm so grateful for. But then it wasn't really as much at Rowan, but at USC, you meet like hundreds of kids who are like, yeah, it took me a while to convince my parents to be open to this, or like, it took me a while to convince myself to be open to this. I think it's very admirable that you were like, this is what I want to do. I know it. I'm going to go chase it. And it's extra like amazing that your family was like, yeah, go give it a try. Of course, they're going to be a little worried, right? Like they want you to succeed, so they're going to have their hesitance.
Yeah.
But
that's also partially why I had the double major, because they were like, we want you to have a fallback just in case. And I'm like, okay, that's fair.
A fallback in cognitive science at USC. I think you'll be okay.
Thank you.
But it's true. I think a lot of people had to do that. A lot of people are minors in the music industry program because similar experience, right? Like their parents were like, you should probably get something
Like
a little
do business,
safer.
yeah.
And it's not to say that that's wrong, because I think statistically you'll find that out of like all the people who are trying to make it in the music industry, probably like less than half like achieve those goals. So I think it's good to look out for your kids.
Yeah, it's just because it's such a small industry, and it's all about like who you know. And I think like I was also blessed to like live near LA, but like just going to a school in LA, it like kind of inevitably like gives you that connection, because you're in the hub of the music industry. Like as long as you're trying to make the most of it, like you can't not meet people who are part of the music industry, and then like hopefully get to know them and like carry forth. Like maybe you won't become like this top manager right away, but you'll still like be able to get somewhere in the direction you want to go towards.
I feel the same way. It's all about drive though. You know, like I had this conversation with Wyatt pretty frequently, my roommate, about like, he has a lot of skill, he has a lot of knowledge, he doesn't have a lot of resources, you know? And I think like the resources are equally, if not more important in this city at least, than your skill. Because you'll find a lot of people with less skill than you making it because they have the resources, you know?
Yeah.
So I always tell him like, yeah, man, you just got to spend more time like trying to meet people, whatever. That's why I'm glad you guys are having that conversation about school, whatever. I know he's always thinking about it. But I agree, like even at USC, as much as I learned and benefited from like studying the amazing textbooks and having the amazing professors with real life experience guide me, definitely meeting people was the best thing at USC.
Yeah.
I don't know if you relate, but like the network I built up at USC is the most valuable thing in my entire life, I think. Just like knowing all of these kids who, I know I just said like hardly half the people who achieve like or chase their music goals make it, but like that percentage changes when you like look at the USC students.
Yeah,
you know?
because like think of all of America, like all these
Exactly.
kids like wanting to work in music. Like I feel like, yeah, it's just like if you kind of go to USC music industry, unless like you really don't want to do it anymore, like you'll be able to find something.
I
from
agree
it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I would say that probably 95% of those kids like make it into the industry in some like
in some
aspect.
capacity. Yeah,
because there's so many routes
Yeah,
that
there's
that
so
were
many
brought to my
openings.
attention at USC. Like I mentioned at the start of this, like 3 different jobs where I was like, I'd never even heard of this, but then I moved out here and I learned about it. What was my point? I forget.
That's okay.
But I was just saying how grateful I am for the USC experience and meeting
Yeah.
people. Did you appreciate your time at USC?
Oh yeah, I did. I feel like going into college, my parents like, or maybe everybody kind of made it seem to be like college is supposed to be this type of experience, and I feel like I didn't have that typical college experience where I like made a tons of friends freshman year and like went to the dining hall all the time, like went to like games and like joined clubs and like was a part of like
parties.
Actually, that's one of my thing on my senior year bucket list was to just like look at a frat party just for like
Look at it.
just like go inside and like look for like a minute or two
Yeah.
and then leave. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I never got to do
Oh,
that.
because of the vid?
Huh?
The COVID
Yeah.
prevented
The
your...
vid, yeah.
Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. But I
I know that's
understand.
what people keep telling me.
I know, but I understand what you're saying. I too didn't have that kind of college experience.
Yeah, especially because you transferred.
Especially because I transferred, but even in New Jersey, I was in a frat and I still didn't like. I didn't consider myself like having that college experience.
You weren't a frat star.
I am not. I was not, and they all knew that. Like I was only in the frat like to make friends because at that school it was really hard to make friends. Have you ever been to South Jersey?
I have not.
It was hard to make friends.
I'm curious what it's like. I feel like honestly, like within America, like there's so many more places like I would want and like could go to. I just like haven't. So
Dude.
even if it's like there's nothing there, like I would love to just like see it and like know what it is. And
Definitely get the perspective of the people who live there.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
They are going to tell you something different than I'm going to tell you. But my dad's been to all the states. My dad got a tattoo after he officially had been to like all 50 states.
Wow.
And spent time in all of them.
What was the tattoo of? America?
Yep. My dad got the United States map tattooed front calf leg, half down the middle, neon green, half down the other side, neon pink.
Amazing.
No. And it has like a boot right in the middle, like a boot print. It's not my favorite.
He better be able to name all 50 states
He probably
within
probably
like
could.
10 minutes. Isn't that like a game like name it within like 5-10 minutes?
I don't know. Could you?
I
couldn't.
tried once because it's like a game where you just like write them all down, and then there's just always some you miss, like Delaware.
Don't do me like that. I'd probably forget like
No,
Montana.
now I'll never forget it.
please don't. The 302, right? And you met another couple people from Delaware. You've met half the state.
I know, I basically have. Now it's like, yeah, I basically know all of Delaware now, so how could I forget it?
I know the beaches. I know the farms. I know
Yeah.
Wilmington, Joe Biden. You
I know so much. It's like,
Definitely. I recommend to everyone, just check out all the states. I always talk shit on Jersey and it's definitely rude, but I highly recommend checking it out. Every state has cool stuff, New Jersey just got legal weed now. That's going to make everybody there a little cooler. In my opinion.
maybe that's why everybody likes LA so much, all the weed.
Dude, my experience at USC, I'm a big stoner. I'll be the first one to tell you. And I would come to USC and I'd be like, okay, everybody's gonna smoke weed. It's California and we're all in college. I met no one that smoked weed.
What?
Like no one. Like
Where are you going?
like class. Like I would be in
Well,
class
yeah.
and I would just be like hanging out, like talking about whatever. Like, oh bro, you wanna come smoke or something? Nah, bro, I don't really smoke. Why are you here? Leave.
You're just hanging out in the wrong places. Like, don't converse with people in your like writing 340 class
No, in
about
music.
weed. Oh,
in my music classes.
Oh,
You would
okay.
never believe. I was just about to list off names, but I
Yeah,
won't
don't
do
list down names. But I feel like people like I mean I don't really, but I also just I just don't do a lot of things. I don't participate in things, but I like being there for it.
Sure,
So like,
sure.
but I feel like all my music friends like they smoke pretty much.
Dude, you got to introduce me because I always am looking for people to hang out and sesh with. That's part of the reason I have the podcast is because I'd be like, oh, you want to come? When I first made the podcast, it was a way of like inviting people over to sesh and then we would talk. But I was like, I don't make very good content when I'm super baked. So we sort of removed that element from the podcast over time.
And then saved it for afterwards.
Precisely. If I know for a fact that someone does indulge, I always offer afterward. I'd be like, try to indulge.
What do you what do you like about, I don't know how to phrase this, like what's so inviting to you about like smoking a joint with somebody? Like what is that experience like? And like why is it fun? I'm actually genuinely curious because like I've never really smoked, but I see my friends like they do it around me and I just don't like the smell, but then they try to like go a little bit farther away from me, so I've gotten used to it. But like there's probably something like, besides the fact that like it relaxes you, like maybe there's something communal about it that makes you feel connected with other people.
I would say that's the exact answer. I think it's the same reason that people like do shots with each other or like invite their friend to come over for a beer. Like it's just like a social thing. A piece of context to relate would be like when I'm in high school, I would be like constantly looking for reasons to meet up with people. Like I'm really bored and I want to hang out.
You're like a super extrovert.
It's true. It's true.
No,
but it's
that's
like,
okay.
I want to hang out with people, but I can't have no reason. It's kind of like I said with the podcast. You know, like I can't just invite people over to sit down and just talk to me.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird. So it was always just like, do you want to just sesh? Because it's casual. Like if someone rolls something up and you roll something up, like you guys can just kind of like go back and forth and just sit there for like up to an hour. And nobody's going to be bored. Nobody's going to realize that an hour went by and you guys will just like get to know each other. We've been talking about Delaware a bunch. And I would say that like one of the greatest attributes typically of people from Delaware is their like interpersonal skills. Because there's so little to do, everybody's main thing is like, I just sit around and talk to other people. And so in Delaware,
that's so nice.
It was really nice. And I'm very grateful for that experience. It has helped me become this social creature that I am. But like when you add weed to that, it's just like now we're really hanging, you know?
Yeah, I guess because like you feel looser, like I guess like drinking.
Precisely.
Like, people feel looser and like they'll be more vulnerable with each other.
But you said sharing a joint with people. I don't really do that anymore as much because of the vid. At the start of COVID, I was not sharing weed with anyone at all.
Yeah, that makes complete
We call
sense.
it rolling personals, you know? And I've been trying to keep that up as much as possible, but I thought I would be a lot more against it, but I find myself still like pretty open to the idea of just like passing it to people that I trust. Because it's just like, what am I do?
like
Smoke in front of you? Yeah, exactly. Like what am I do? Eat in front of you and not share?
Oh, this is so yummy. Like have some.
Precisely. It is exactly like that. But that's a funny question. And it sounds like you, see, if I had met you at USC, you wouldn't have been smoking either. And you would have been like, yeah, I don't really smoke. And I would have been like, nobody in this fucking town smokes weed. What the fuck's going on? You know? I'm telling you.
But I fall into like this 5 percentile of like college kids who like, because I feel like every college kid's like, that's another part of the experience thing of like, everybody has like that year where they just go like insane. And I think that's very healthy and kids should do that because you got to experience that.
You got to learn your limits.
Yeah, you just got to know your limits. You got to experience that. But it's like, I never really did that. I don't really regret not doing it. It's just like,
No, I'm with you. I'm not one to push the boundaries. I'll push my boundaries on culture shock and ego death, but not on like partying. I've never blacked out. I've never done a lot of things that you would think that a regular college kid would do.
You did LSD in the Sequoia National Park.
That's pretty awesome. That puts me in a small percentile.
That's a good story.
But that's like the hippie shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just on that hippie shit.
You are Kevin.
Kevin does not do
manifesting.
LSD. Kevin has probably, I don't know. I shouldn't speak on my boy's business. I don't think Kevin does a lot of LSD, but he's a busy man.
Yeah, he's too busy for that.
He might have though. You know how Kevin's background, like before he was 30, Kevin was just like a pretty lost soul. He like went to Santa Barbara, didn't really know what he was doing. I can't remember if he graduated or not. And then he like went to Hawaii to like figure out what his life was supposed to be. Taught like hula dancing or whatever you call it for like a year, and then came back to the States and just like found Golden Voice, like started working Golden Voice. Like it just like worked out for him.
I never heard his full story. He always told like bits and pieces. Also, this is random, but for I don't know if you have like a little byline for your podcast, but it should be like my excuse for like inviting people over without being creepy.
That would be good. I could definitely.
Yeah.
My thing right now, it says like letting creatives be more than their art. It's cute. It's cute, but I'm not loving it. I'm not married to it.
That is cute. I feel like the whole creepy, it is true though. Or even like, I feel like that's why dating apps are such a thing. Cause like you can't just like ask people out and cause it's creepy.
Yeah. Like on a cold
there's
DM.
There's a lot of creepos now. So
like you need context.
Yeah.
You need appropriate content.
Yeah,
We're
so it's
both
like,
understanding
I
that.
have a podcast.
Exactly.
Like, what? I guess you could still be a creep, I guess, in the end, but
I do always wonder that. People will come over here, and I'm not, if you did this, I'm not shading you. People will come over here and have never even listened to a piece of my content before. I'm like,
I could be
I
alive.
could murder you. Like, I could have photoshopped all of these contents. Like, I think it's so funny. But it seems to
No,
work.
I knew you were legit. I got all those like MUN 496. Like, what was that? Or, what was the
forum?
event?
My symposium?
Yeah.
Not our symposium.
Yeah, that thing. So it's like, I knew he's a USC guy.
Yeah.
He did all that. I got all his emails.
If you have
very enthusiastic.
Dude, I sent one of those emails at like 3:00 in the morning with so many typos because we were so late on that project. So late. That was a cool project, though. Thank you for mentioning that. I like doing stuff. The most depressed times in my life are when I'm not doing anything. When I like feel very unproductive. Do you relate to that at all?
I guess, yeah. I'm starting to realize that too because I really just value productivity, but I'm also trying to value like again, like slowing down because I was watching this thing about like Scandinavian cultures and like why they have like greater like happiness levels than like the US. And it's because like ultimately like the Europeans, they kind of just live like a slower lifestyle. Like they don't mind like walking to the grocery store every day or like doing this, doing that. Like there's so many things that they just don't have access to, like crazy like amount of like 1 hour Amazon delivery or like Postmates, or maybe they do have that over there, but I'm not sure. But I think just like like being able to just like live life and appreciate it like that, I guess, is what make them happier. So like even if a day like I don't want to be super productive, like that's okay. And like I think just especially USC just really ingrained in me that like, oh, you gotta do this and do this and do this. But COVID and everything about 2020 has helped me like realize a good perspective
and slow down. What are some ways you practice like slowing down on a daily basis, like in your personal life? Do you ever like find yourself aware of like a moment where you're like, actually I need to like just relax for a second?
Yeah, because I grew up like in the faith, so like I'm Christian, and so in the morning like I really love to like have my quiet time and like read the Bible and like spend time with God, and I feel like that kind of just sets me up for a day where I can like I don't know, appreciate that like it's a day he's given me and I can go out and like be a light to somebody, or even if I don't talk to anybody that day, it's like I'm still being a presence that's like living for something more than just myself. So like I think that is what sets me up for a good day. And then after that, like I've been recently like really journaling a lot. I feel like post-grad life has been like a world of like thoughts and emotions, so I'm just like journaling so much. So I do that, and I like to take my time to like I love to go running, like working out, or like just like make a nice breakfast and things like that I can incorporate. Like I know that if it ultimately reaches a certain time, like I want to get work done and I'll give myself an allotted amount of time, but I try to like incorporate good breaks.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a very adult schedule. That's
I know.
really cool.
I wake up. I go to bed early and I wake up early, so I'm like such an old person.
Good for you. No, I think that's admirable, and I think you'll be proud of that when you're older. You know, like right now, I hate that I go to sleep like at 2:00 in the morning and I wake up.
But that's good for like live music. Like I used to work at venues, and like, oh my gosh, I would be dying.
That's true. That's true. It's literally been ingrained in me forever.
Like the music industry is the scene for staying up late. Brittany cannot do that. Like I'll be at like so many like with my friends, just even like just chill hangouts, and they'll be like. And I'll be like, guys, I'm kind of tired. And they're like, no, it's okay. You can go home.
I usually roast people. I'm like, no, we're staying up. Like,
I know. Well, sometimes I will. It's like, oh, I gotta be a young person. And I will do this. Like, I'll allow myself once in a while, because like once in a while, that's not bad. But that's like, that's like me going crazy. It's like, oh, I stayed up. Like one time I stayed up till like 3 a.m. and I have this group text, and like they always stay up super late. So I was like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm the last person to go to bed. I just want you guys to know that, and then you'll see that in the morning.
They were probably so proud.
Yeah, I know they were. But I was so tired the next day, so I was like, oh, how do people do this all the time?
Regret.
Yeah, I know, that was my regret. I wasn't hungover, I didn't have anything. I just woke up and I was like, I guess I'll make myself a matcha latte today because I'm pretty tired.
I think this caffeine, and matcha's like the lowest caffeine you can get.
I know, because I can't handle caffeine either.
Are you an 8 hours of sleep a night person?
Yeah, or more than that.
More than that?
Or like
Nice.
8 hours is like what I try
nice.
to get, but sometimes more than that. Like I think that's healthy.
Definitely. No, I'm an 8 hours a night person. I haven't been getting it as much, but I do strive to get it as much as possible. I'm a big believer in sleep. I value sleep more than like socializing. I love sleep.
Yeah. No, it's really important, and like it keeps you sane, it keeps you healthy. Like there's so many like you can't go be a nice and good person without like sleep.
No, and I care about the longevity of my brain.
Yeah, that too.
It needs its recharge time. What the fuck? My brain is my best thing. I mean, I got these looks too, but
oh yeah, can't forget about that, man.
I was gonna build off something you were saying. Oh, your routine, starting in the morning with faith. I think that's really cool. I like when people start their I like when people apply the positive aspects of their day in the morning. I don't. I have no discipline, and I'm terrible at it. But like I used to be into yoga. I went through like a meditation phase as well. And I would like try my best to do it in the morning. And on days when I would, you just feel so much better. It's like way better than having a cup of coffee or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like getting your mind in the right place and getting your body moving, like, or not. Like even the meditation, I'm more focusing on the mind, but obviously get your physical. We talked about the screen time. Everybody should be yoga, making sure to get physical right now. But yes, with the mind specifically, like I'm a huge believer in faith. Not so much in God, just from my own personal experiences, but with faith. I think like it's really important to believe that there's like a greater purpose than just your own self, you know? And I don't ever take time to like really think about that. I think I should, because I totally catch myself being very egocentric and greed focused right now. I think it's appropriate because I'm 22, 23. And
I think every human struggles with that. Like, you know? I could have thoughts like that too. And it does, like, just because like I like to go to bed early and like wake up early and like do all these things with my life doesn't mean like I don't struggle like a normal person. So like I completely understand that. But it's just, I guess I know that these things help me feel better than ultimately help me be more productive or more caring for other people. So like I like to incorporate it.
You
but
should.
I'm also I can't stay up late and like do all these crazy things with my friends. So I guess like
you travel, man.
Yeah.
I put value in the same things you put value in. So I'm not going to be the one to tell you that you're missing out on anything. I think you've made the right calls, you know?
But like just you don't have to be. I don't think you're like super hard on yourself because you don't feel. I feel like you're not like a super negative, self-detrimental person.
Thank you.
But like, it's just something to be mindful of. And if you want to start practicing that one day, then like that's totally good and it's always accessible. But if you go to bed at 2 and wake up and you still make the most of your day, like that's good too.
Definitely, I'm with you. I'm not saying either one is better or worse. I'm giving you props. I think it's dope. The people that inspire me the most are like people who act like they're 40 when they're 20. I know that's really out of the ordinary, but like it's true. Like I'll shout out my one of my best friends. His name's Giancarlo Stigliano. He's a videographer and he grinds like nobody, and his schedule is lit. Like not fun, just adult. Like he's doing yoga multiple times a week. He's taking time to meditate. He just started going to church. Like this is a very recent thing he took up. He started going to church. He works like almost every day. He goes to the gym like every day. Like you hear me boasting about it, you know, like I think that shit is so cool.
I feel like we'd like vibe because I like to do I can't go to the gym, of course, because like
he's in New Jersey and gyms are open.
That doesn't surprise me.
Isn't that fucking crazy? I was like, what?
But I feel like just having that routine, like, I don't know, I guess makes things more exciting. And I will always give I always try to at least take like Sundays off because like I like to go to like or attend online church now, I guess. But and I think it's important, kind of like how we need sleep to help our minds. Like you also need like a day of rest to like help our minds too, in a sense. But like fitting out that schedule to like do work, like it makes you more excited because you know like, oh, if I do this and it's like, oh, like I'm done and I accomplished this and then I can go do other things I enjoy instead of just, I guess, procrastinating. Because like I've done that before. It's like, oh, I need to do this, and then 2 hours passes and you don't get it done, and then it's like,
I do that all the time. TikTok is the quickest way for me to just lose like 2 hours of life.
TikTok has taken over everybody's life.
It's so insane.
It's an interesting thing. I do enjoy the TikToks that my friends send me. I will watch them.
Yeah, you should. What the fuck? They took the time to send them to you.
But did you know what Vine was?
Yeah, of course. I never had it, but I actually...
Okay, because Vine I was a big Viner. Like, I loved Vine. So the fact that, like, TikTok is, like, 30 seconds long and Vine was like 6 seconds. It's like just so much more accessible to me. That's why like when I watch TikTok, I'm like, this is so long. I don't want to sit here, even though it's like 30 seconds.
They just extended the time limit to like a minute now. You can have like a minute long TikToks.
That's so long.
I know. It's not the original plan, but I honestly think it has to do with businesses. They're making money. Like businesses have turned a lot of their funds. I'm sorry, my hand is so dirty now. Have turned their marketing funding to TikTok. But you can't really advertise your whole product in 6 seconds usually. So they like upped it to a minute now, and you can see like full length advertisements on your screen on TikTok. It's so frustrating.
That's crazy. And I mean, TikTok, I think is, of course, like a lot of people have like things against social media. I think it is a good thing, but there are a lot of toxic things that could occur because of it. So like TikTok, I think it's like a great way. Like it makes people laugh. Like it informs people. Like I've learned so many things from like certain TikTok videos, but I guess it can be easily
I get daily hacks from TikTok.
A black hole of like time content.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the analogy I use for TikTok is like if I'm looking to blow an hour, I'm opening up TikTok, like, and then my hour's gone and I just don't even realize.
I guess that's good if you're ever like waiting somewhere for like an hour.
No, it's not. You know, you can tell me it's not a productive.
I mean,
I've been off of it a lot more recently.
I wouldn't do that, but
you know me making the best decisions always, and I wouldn't do that. No, I tease. It's true though. I respect your opinion because you clearly make really educated decisions. All right, we'll start wrapping up. We've been going for a while. Is there anything that you would like to mention or shout out or discuss that we didn't already that I would love to?
What's one of the best live shows you've been to?
Rat-a-tat. Are you familiar? Best live concert I've ever been to. Rat-a-tat, indoor, Electric Factory, Philadelphia.
Are you a big EDM boy?
No.
Oh.
But Rat-a-tat is acoustic instruments turned EDM. They're just lit. It's a duo, and I think you'll admire this, but the best part of it was the visuals. Like, well, one, I was on LSD. And then two.
Yeah, okay, LSD just takes everything. I should just, for when I become a stage designer, I'd be like, okay, before you enter, you gotta take LSD, and this will blow your mind.
It's true.
I should, okay, if I become close to people in a meeting one day and I am able to do that, I'd be like, okay, guys, idea. Have everybody on LSD, and then we could just design anything. It'll be great.
I think that you could sell a show, like, part of your ticket is we'll give you a dose of LSD, and we can all be on LSD.
I'm sure a lot of people would show up.
That's what I mean.
That.
We're in California. I think this would be a good place to do it.
I'll
but
think about it. I'll remember this moment. I'll think about it.
Yeah, hit me up. I would definitely help you throw a show like that. What the fuck? That sounds awesome. Oh, I thought she was coming to get me.
Also,
Rat-a-tat. But wait, what about you?
What's a? I'll answer first. I guess. I don't know if it's because I like them so much, or it was also a great show. Like 21 Pilots, like their live shows are just like so amazing.
Kevin was just talking about them.
Oh yeah, they just like love to interact with the crowd. Like they roll on like hamster balls like over like the general audience people. That's cool. So I've waited a long time for them, multiple times.
Have you not seen them?
Oh no, I've like seen them like 8 times.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
But like each like at different times, I would like wait hours and hours or like camp out. I'm like that type of person. Like if I like a band, I'm like I like them, but like low key.
Sure, I like 21 Pilots. I loved them when the first album came out.
Oh yeah.
I haven't really stayed on the board as much, but I've seen them a few times.
Yeah, their older stuff is better, but definitely. I still like their
Car
new
Radio.
stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And there's one more I really like, House of Gold.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
But another question was if you could see a live show like today, who would you want to see?
Anyone? I get to just pick?
Yeah, just anyone. Like, who have you really been vibing with during COVID?
Oh, I would have just said Rat-a-tat again. This is going to sound corny, but if you want my true answer, I would love to see KSI. So KSI is an influencer who has been making YouTube content for like 8 years. I started watching him when I was like 17, like 5 years ago. Since that time, he's become an internationally recognized artist, an internationally recognized boxer. He fought Logan Paul last year, if you ever heard about that. And like basically him and all of his boys, their clout has like gone exponentially since then. But I never really listened to his music, but I love him as a character. Like I love his vibe. Like he's my favorite influencer, you know, content creator. We'll call him to be more legit. And I recently got into his music, and I think it would be lit. He's been doing like pop music with like very successful artists from the UK, and I would love to see them.
That would be fun.
Him, that would be lit, dude. He was like just about to go on festival tour for the first time this year, you know, like last year, and he was pissed.
There's so many people.
He was pissed.
Have you ever heard that conspiracy that like Frank Ocean probably knew Coachella was, or that COVID was gonna happen? That's why he like booked Coachella, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna perform because there's COVID."
I did not hear
so
that
many
conspiracy.
things got, like, canceled.
That's really good. I actually got to see Frank Ocean.
I've seen him too. Actually,
You did?
super randomly.
We're lit for
yeah,
that.
I know. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw him. That was so random.
My experience, if we're being transparent, I did not get to fully experience the Frank Ocean concert. I was working the event. It was Panorama. And we literally, you know Birthright? When you're Jewish.
Oh yeah, I actually do.
Yeah, so I got to go on Birthright.
Oh, nice.
It was phenomenal. One of the best experiences ever.
I want to go to Israel so bad.
Dude, it was lit. Landed in JFK from Israel, drove to Panorama, like the island, and worked that event with my dad. And I expressed to him before I went, Father, the only reason I'm coming to work this event is so that when Frank Ocean plays, I can go watch this concert. I love Frank Ocean. This is like the most important thing to me. This was summer of 2018, I think. I think that's when I went to Israel. And, or 17, I'm not sure. I went out, I worked my ass off. Frank Ocean is performing. No one's buying food. Everyone's watching Frank Ocean. What the fuck? I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm going to go and watch the show. He's like, no. I was like, Dad, I'm going to disown you as a father if you don't let me go see the show. I need to go see the show. And he was like, you can go for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. If you don't come back, I'm not paying you. I was like, Father.
You should have just let him not pay you.
I couldn't. I needed,
I needed
the money.
What'd you have to get?
Dude, seeing Frank Ocean, really amazing. But when you're a kid, we get paid really well. I needed that money. Like, we probably got paid like $700, $600 for working that event. You know, like I wasn't going to spend $700 to see Frank. But I got to go for 10 minutes, and it was like the most amazing. Like, I would compare it to the Rat-a-Tat experience. Like, he is so amazing. And everyone that appreciated him was there because, you know, like you never get to see Frank. So when he comes to town, everybody goes. And it was just like, it was so great. I remember like every second of it. And then I had to go back. We went back, and I was just an asshole to my dad the rest of the night. Like, so petty, so frustrated.
He did
Clearly,
not
I'm
let
still
you
upset
see
about it.
Frank
You know?
Ocean. No, I know.
Yep.
It's a big thing.
Yep. I just sang the songs in the booth all night. I was just pretended I was out in the crowd.
He's like, you like this song, Dad? Yeah, it's Frank Ocean.
That motherfucker. But tell me, what would be a show you would love to get to right now? Have you been obsessed with anybody?
I feel like I've quarantine has been really fun for like seeing music. I guess somebody that like I just haven't seen before who I would like to see is Glass Animals, because they played at USC once for Springfest.
Wow.
But I was working the show, so I had to get them burritos, but I never got to see them perform.
No
so
way.
I'm so sad about that.
That is really frustrating.
My story is like they ordered wet burritos. I didn't know what that was. Have you heard of a wet burrito?
Cheesy burrito, yeah.
Yeah, so like they pour like the sauce over it, but I was like, what? And so I went to a Trejo's Tacos, and I was like, oh, can I get 3 of these? Like, can you make them wet? And they're like, oh, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine, because it's like, I didn't know what that meant. So I like took it, and then my friend brought up this point. They're like, they're from England. They probably have never tried a wet burrito. So what if they came here like wanting to try a wet burrito, and they never got to have it, and they're probably like, hey mate, like this tastes exactly the same as a regular burrito. And they probably go to England and tell all their friends, hey, don't go to California and order a wet burrito. It's the same as a regular burrito. It's because of me.
You ruined wet burritos.
So if I ever worked with them one day, I gotta tell them that.
I hope you get to, because I think they would really love your story. What's that one song by Glass? What's their one? I know everybody has like
their
the one.
Heat Waves? Gooey?
Nope. Those are not the songs I'm thinking of. Maybe Heat Waves.
That's their like newer one.
Oh, okay. That's not what I'm thinking of.
It's probably Gooey, because that's like their old hit.
That must be it. I like Glass Animals. Is that who you would see?
I feel like, because I like their newer albums, so like I would really like to see them.
Sure.
I would also like, I was supposed to go to a Harry Styles concert, and that got canceled, so I'd really like for that to happen.
He's an OG now too.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, all those boys kind of did pretty well for themselves afterward. Talk about a successful project. Like, bunch of guys, random, get to be One Direction, internationally famous, huge pop stars. fall out. Now they each like have their own individual careers. Like that never happens. Like the whole band got their own career afterward. Like that never happens. So good for them. Shout out that team. You know? And shout out Scooter Braun.
What? Okay.
I don't know. So Justin Bieber's had like a really phenomenal career in my opinion too. Like going
that's true.
from meme rapper.
Did you talk to
artist.
Justin Chung about that? Because he like
he's friends with Alexis Vaganosis, whatever her last name is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lexi.
Is that what she goes by? Alexis?
Wait, she's yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, who?
No, that's another person named Alexis. You're right. I got the last name wrong. I'm talking about a different Alexis, whose name I don't actually know, but she works with Scooter Braun.
Oh, okay.
That is a real person that you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, are you talking about Lexi
yeah.
from music industry?
Yeah. I did ask him about Scooter Braun. We were talking about. He's working with them now. Not Scooter Braun. He's working with the guy Mike or whatever, who used to work for Scooter, and Alexis, who works for Mike.
The JB's great. I honestly really like his new song.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. Like, talk about a career turnaround. I say that about Drake as well. Remember, Drake was like, how can you listen to Drake? He sings that sad boy sing-song music. And now he's like the #1 artist in the world.
People were so into Drake, though.
Yeah, of course. But like when, like Marvin's Room album, like, it was like sad boy singing Drake. At least for me in my life, everybody hated Drake at that point. And they dropped Views. And it was like, oh, he makes music pretty okay now. And then the next one, oh, okay.
Okay, Drake.
I get it.
No, he's cool.
Yeah, I vibe with Drake. I vibe with big pop stars. I know, like.
Oh no, I vibe with them.
I mean,
they're big for a reason. Like maybe I guess that people like their crap is just more exposed easily because they're in such a spotlight.
Exactly.
But like, there other random small bands, they do that too. They're just not talked about.
Not talked about. Yeah, you're right. I do admire those bands as well. I just never talk about them as much. You're right. We gotta talk about clout. To get clout, you gotta talk about other people's clout.
Exactly. So you gotta say all this good stuff. So next moment, Drake's gonna ring you up, be like, "Hey, can I be featured on your podcast?"
Exactly, and I can be like, "Yo, Drizzy,
I promise I'm not creepy."
Don't bring none of that Marvin's Room shit here. All right, I just want views plus.
Exactly.
Everything after
you'd be like,
2015.
"Okay, man, got you."
Yeah, hopefully one day. I would love to have Drake on the podcast and Kevin.
That sounds good.
I'm gonna get Kevin for
you
episode
could totally
100.
get Kevin.
I asked my friends when I started the podcast. I was like, "Do you guys think I could have Kevin on?" And they were like, "No. Why would he do your podcast?" At the time,
be
I
on
think he
your
totally
podcast.
would have done it, even at the very start.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Okay."
I was like, you know what? I'll wait till I have more clout because I want it to like mean something when I have Kevin. Like I'm not gonna have Kevin on and then only 10 people hear it. We're getting there. We're getting there. But I think for episode 100, I'll have Kevin on. I think that would be like a treat, right? Okay. Anything else you want to mention?
No, thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for coming on. Britt, don't worry, I'll wrap it up like nice and sweet, but I just want to make sure there's nothing you want to shout out. Any brands, anything? You want to just shout out some people?
Brands, people.
Love. Preach. Christianity.
I hope everybody has a nice day.
I think that's great. Okay, well, yeah, Britt, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being so open. I hope our conversation was fun for you. I had a really good conversation. We'll keep in touch. I hope you like. Are you going to be around LA?
I'll
staying around.
I'm like, I still have my lease till like July, and then I'm actually applying to some schools in the UK right now, so I might actually
No way.
literally be
You're just
moving.
gonna go now? Wow. Good for
Well,
you.
maybe if I get in, it's like for design stuff, but
Wow.
we'll see.
It will work out. This year's really big for everybody.
I'll find you a wife.
Just invite me. I'll come visit.
Okay.
Stop, because I'm coming, dude. If you move, I'll be there so soon. You have no clue. Definitely. Fuck yeah. I'm really jealous of you. I think it will work out. I think 2021 is a really big year for everyone, and
Thank you.
I'm trying to like just bring that vibe to everybody. Like, this is last year. I was like, this is the year.
Now we're just
And it was
moving
not
on.
it. So yeah, we're just pushing it one more.
Gotta remain positive.
Yep. And I think this year is actually it. My word for the year is momentum. We're starting off very strong. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. I'm excited to hear. What school is your number one?
It's called University Arts London, and they have like multiple colleges. So either Central St. Martin's or Wimbledon College would
Shout
be
out.
the vibe, but we'll see.
I hope you get into Wimbledon College.
Thank you.
Because I would go to the soccer games.
Okay.
I assume it's by the stadium. I would assume. That's a
Sounds
yes.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Lots of love. Thanks for coming on, everybody. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I love you. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments. Text me. Follow Britt. Make sure you appreciate her art. Make sure you appreciate her passion and everything else she's doing. Do you have like a thing you've been getting into recently? Besides obviously all of the art you've been doing, but just like a...
I've been getting into like learning new languages.
Shut the fuck up.
For
You are so
fun.
inspirational. Every day I'm like, I need to teach myself Spanish, but I'm, like I said, I have no drive, so I don't do it. What languages are you trying to learn?
Right now because I took like a little bit of Korean before, and because I'm Korean, like I want to be able to like have full conversations with my grandparents. So my goal for this year is like Korean, and then next year I think I'll do French.
Wow. My uncle, he knows like 11 languages. I think that shit is
He's
so
a polyglot. That's
admirable.
amazing.
Yeah, well, he's in the secret government or something. So
Okay.
he used to like quite literally like translate Arabic like for the government. He's legit. But I think languages are so dope. I admire anyone who learns them. I think my brain is not capable of it as much.
You get good sleep, so you never know.
That's true. That's true. Okay. All right, everybody. Talk to y'all later. We'll have more next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.